My name is Ali Thailand. I'm with Gibson Consulting Group. My colleague Stephanie Davis and I will be presenting procurement audit report results. Before we start, I would like to thank Ms. Collier, Executive Director of Procurement and Contract Services, for her role as the project liaison. I'll also would like to thank Procurement and Contract Services, Finance and Accounts Payable Department staff providing us with data and answer all our questions throughout the project. We will cover audit objectives and scope. Then we will talk about key findings and recommendations in each of the report chapters. We will also briefly go over the remaining recommendations. The objective for this audit was to evaluate the efficiency, effectiveness, and compliance of the Austin AISD Procurement and Contracting Services Department and identify opportunities for improvement. Stephanie will be covering the next slide.
Yes. The scope of our audit consists of 4 main areas, which we split into chapters. The first is organization and management, which includes compliance, internal controls, customer satisfaction, performance measures, and training. The second chapter covered by our report is competitive procurement and contracting. This chapter also covers compliance as well as efficiency of the competitive procurement contracting process and consistency when completing procedures across the procurement department. The third chapter relates to procurement and P cards. This chapter again covers the compliance of these areas, vendor creation, and the review of the P card process. The final chapter in our report covers the receiving process. We wanted to note that the Austin AISD Contracts and Procurement Department does not procure goods and services for nutrition and food services or warehousing. Because of that, our report does not cover these areas. Also, we wanted to note that Gibson is simultaneously conducting a construction department audit. This audit report does not cover construction procurement.
Thank you, Stephanie. For executive summary, before we talked about the major areas of improvement, it is worth mentioning a best practice that we observe where the procurement and contract services department use information technology, information systems to reduce paperwork and in procurement process. Major areas of improvements are the lack of documented contract management procedures and related to lack of clarity of contract management roles and responsibilities. The procurement procedures were not consistently followed by the departments and schools in Austin AISD. And lastly, there are several inefficient processes, including the processing of P cards. And Stephanie will cover the next slides.
The next 2 slides outline all of the 12 audit recommendations that we made within our report. We will go into detail covering all of the higher priority items in this presentation, and we will also make sure to make note of the lower priority items at the end of the presentation as well.
Organization and management. The important high priority finding in this section is Austin AISD employees outside the procurement function have access rights to procurement related systems, which could result in unauthorized transactions. We found 5 employees outside the procurement function who have buyer security roles. This may cause them to access information or perform transactions that they're not authorized or trained to do. Our recommendation here is we recommend the district establish monthly review of user positions and their security roles. IT department can provide security role reports to departments, and then departments can review these reports and make sure positions and security roles are in sync. Next chapter is competitive procurement and contracting. Stephanie will cover the next slide.
We noted a commendation during our audit. The district uses an electronic system to manage bids and proposals. This is a great system which allows electronic submission by vendors, a central dashboard, and tracks bids and proposals, timelines, and milestones. This slide shows screenshots of the electronic system used. The top image shows a timeline, and the bottom image outlines the dashboard, which includes items such as the number of completed projects, the number of projects being evaluated, submissions received, etc. There is a lot of good information on this dashboard.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our next finding in this area is there are procedural gaps in Austin AISD's contract management function, creating compliance and performance risks. Contract management accountability is inappropriately distributed among procurement specialists, the department staff, and accounts payable. There are no documented contract management procedures. The positions may not be fully understand their roles and responsibilities. As a result, there are inconsistencies and gaps in the performance of contract management activities. The risks that are associated with contract management here are vendors may be performing services without a signed contract, vendors may go above the contract amount, vendors may be delivering goods and services outside the scope of the contract, and finally, vendors may be performing a service that Austin AISD has not agreed to. We recommend establishing procedures for contract management activities, assign contract management roles to staff, and work with the departments or schools to monitor vendor compliance and with the contract. Management agrees with this recommendation. The next chapter is procurement and P-card. The district does not consistently follow purchasing procedures and practices which subjects the district to compliance and financial risks. The goods and services are acquired without a valid PO. And when a PO is issued after the fact, we call that an improper PO. We analyze and look at the fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023 procurement and accounts payable data and found that 22% of the fiscal year 2022 and 25% of fiscal year 2023 of purchase orders are issued after the fact. Important note that due to the special circumstances, this data analysis we conducted did not include construction-related purchase orders or purchasing activities. The risks of improper POs are we may not have the funds to cover the goods and services. It may not be appropriate to acquire goods and services due to the federal or grant requirements for that procurement. The vendors may not be paid in a timely manner. The recommendation for improper POs is to track the metrics necessary to hold departments and campuses accountable to district purchasing requirements. The department should track the improper POs quarterly, enforce purchasing procedures, and work closely with the departments and campuses to reduce recurring issues. Management agrees with this recommendation. This slide will be covered by Stephanie.
Yes, our next finding relates to segregation of duties. Our finding is that AISD does not have segregation of duties in vendor master file management, which increases the risk of errors and/or fraudulent activities. The AP department manages the vendor master file as well as distributes those payments to vendors. The AP manager security role has the ability to both set up and maintain vendors and make payments to vendors. At the time of our audit, there were 5 staff members who have this security role with the ability to do both of these things. We note that single departmental control over vendor management and vendor payment substantially increases the risk of AP setting up fictitious vendors as they have the ability to do both. Our recommendation is to move vendor master file management from the AP department to the Contract and Procurement Services department. This would greatly reduce the risk of fictitious vendors being set up, and AP should still have the ability to disperse the funds with the appropriate documentation. Management partially agreed with this recommendation.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our next finding is related to vendor creation. The district's vendor creation process is highly manual and resulting in errors. We use two separate systems, PaymentWorks and District ERP system Bolt for vendor management. There is no integration between these two systems. The data transfer is manual and relies on Excel spreadsheet. This may cause information sync issues between the two systems. The process is also time-consuming. We recommend to re-engineer the vendor creation process. We believe this can be done by automating data exchange between the PaymentWorks and the district ERP system. We also recommend eliminating vendor ID creation using Excel. Management agrees with this recommendation. The next slide will be covered by Stephanie.
So our next finding relates to P cards. Our finding was that the district's P card process does not maximize efficiency. And this is due to multiple reasons. The P card process has duplicative controls and manual processes. There are certain reviews that are completed by both the P card holder supervisor as well as the AP department. There is no integration between the three systems used. Those three systems are Laserfish, CAR, and Bolt. And since there's no integration between these three systems, manual processes have to be used. The P card process currently has a 4-month lag. And as a result of this 4-month lag, the district stops the use of P cards after a certain date in the school year. There is another issue when problematic transactions are found. Because of this 4-month lag, it is much more difficult to rectify a problem because a significant amount of time has passed since the transaction took place. The district also does not have accurate balance of funds for common accounts used for P card transactions, meaning that individuals such as the campus secretaries have to keep their own spreadsheets to understand what their accurate balance for funds are. Our recommendation is to re-engineer the P card process by eliminating duplicative tasks and integrating information systems. You can automate the data exchange between the new ERP systems and CAR, which will help with the manual processing. Eliminate the use of Laserfish and upload the P card package directly into the ERP system, again, reducing the amount of manual processing, as well as eliminating duplicative supervisory checks at the transaction level. And we recommend the P card transaction report as well as Amazon business account reports are periodically ran in order to analyze the data for anomalies. Management agreed with this recommendation. Our next finding relates to HEB cards. Our finding is that the district's use of HEB cards is inefficient and contains control deficiencies. These cards are assigned to specific campuses or departments and not specific individuals. If an unauthorized person obtains the card, they would be able to use it at an HEB grocery store using campus funds. HEB cards do not have spending limits. Everything that can be accomplished using an HEB card can also be completed using a P card. Our recommendation is to replace HEB cards with existing P cards. The P cards allow schools and departments to make transactions at HEB stores, as we noted before. And the P card program has controls in place that the HEB card program does not. Management agrees with this recommendation.
Thank you, Stephanie. I will be covering the remaining recommendations. These recommendations, management agrees with all these recommendations we will be covering. Establish more training opportunities that district staff can attend. Upgrading the minimum qualification requirements for the senior procurement specialist job description and encourage and provide procurement-related certification opportunities. Implement and use performance measures to enhance the effectiveness of procurement-related activities. Fully implement the district e-procurement system Bonfire contract management module. And lastly, conduct a procurement spend analysis on a quarterly basis. This concludes our presentation of procurement audit report results. Thank you.